Greg from Pearl City Antiques, and we just wanted to create this video to talk a little bit about some of the nuances that we find in antique furniture. There's all kinds of like creative things that people have done over the years. Many times, I don't know if you've ever heard this term before, but it's talked about passionately in antique circles, talking about a piece that's a marriage. When you look at a high boy or a tall boy dresser, you know, a lot of people will look very closely at the top and the bottom, because it's quite common that one of the, either the top or the bottom was damaged at some point or whatever, and people have mismatched the top half and the bottom half of a piece of furniture. Sometimes this is way more obvious than others. Sometimes you can look at it, just look at the front of the piece and be able to tell right away that it's a marriage because it wasn't kind of done very well. But this is quite common. We have pieces that come through regularly that have been married. If we buy a piece that has been married, we're like really careful to make sure that, you know, it's very hard to tell. Finding antique pieces like that are multiple, that are comprised of multiple components, like a high boy, for example, it's important to look at all of the different aspects of the piece to tell if it's original. We like to look at the patina. Is the patina consistent across the drawer faces or frame? Is the woods the same? Are the woods, primary woods and secondary woods, the same? You look at the drawers, the interior of the drawers, to match that. You know, are the drawers all made out of the same material? And this can get tricky sometimes because, you know, these pieces, especially the older pieces, have been repaired, necessarily repaired many times to keep it in service. So, you know, sometimes those repairs were made with the original woods, sometimes those repairs weren't. So sometimes it gets a little tricky. And this is deeply contested area that we're talking about, and it's not an exact science. Many times you'll be able to tell a marriage or something that isn't exactly original by looking at the backboards. So looking at the back of the piece, do the backboards match? Are they oriented in the same direction? Are the backboards either vertical or horizontal? Are the backboards the same? Were they cut in the same manner? Do you see tool marks that are consistent across the piece? And then as we look at other details in the piece, you'll see a piece that has original hardware and a piece that maybe the hardware has been replaced over time, or missing components, or, you know, those types of things. And these are the small details that make a difference between a piece that is beautiful and valuable in its own right, and a piece that's really historically important. We have examples of both here. I mean, certainly we don't get too wrapped around the axle at Pearl City Antiques. If we think the piece is beautiful and well made, it might be a marriage, but you know, it's really difficult to tell. You know, we're happy to disclose that information to our customers, and many of our customers don't care quite so much that maybe it's not exactly all original, but they think it's beautiful and they want to put it in their home, and we love that. But then when you look at a historically important piece, you want to get into all of these details to make sure that everything is correct. And of course, this affects the value of the piece that you're looking at. And it takes a really keen eye, and it takes many, many years of practice. And I am certainly not like an expert at all of this, but I've learned over the years that we have been doing it to be able to tell these different things. And we just wanted to share some of this information with you. So if you have any questions about, hey, is my piece authentic, or do you think it's a marriage? You know, we would love to help you in that process. Drop comments or questions in the comment section, and we would love to answer them, or reach out to us at Pearl City Antiques. pearlcitypearlcitypearlcity.com, and we will do anything in our power to help you on this journey and help you to understand the pieces that you're purchasing and the pieces that you own. It's important to tie this history and the craftsmanship from the past into the future, and that's what we like to do here at Pearl City Antiques.